Hey everyone, ahlan wa sahlan fikum. Today I just wanted to take a few minutes to discuss a really important word in Palestinian Arabic, ma, which actually has a lot of different really important uses. By now I've mentioned several of them in other videos, but there are others I haven't really mentioned, so I thought it would be useful to dissect all of them together in one definitive video on the word ma. خلينا نبلش. So, ma, the word that keeps on giving. Those of you who have some background in Standard Arabic probably had your first encounter with this word long ago, with the meaning of what. Hopefully as soon as you move to the dialect though, you realize that this is wrong. Ma in the dialect never means what, so don't make that mistake. The correct word is shu or ish. The main use of ma in the dialect is for negation, specifically to negate verbs. I've already discussed negation in another video, but just to review, ma goes before a verb to mean does not or did not. For example, huwa haka, he spoke, ma haka, he didn't speak. Ana ba'arif, I know, ma ba'arif, I don't know. It can also be used alongside with or interchangeably with the sheen suffix in the same meaning. Ma ba'arif, ma ba'arafish, or just ba'arafish. Ma is likewise used to form the negative imperative, to say don't do something. Instead of negating the actual imperative, the ma negates the subjunctive form of the verb. For example, uktob, write, becomes ma tuktob, don't write. Ahki, speak, becomes ma tahki, don't speak. Just keep in mind that the ma by itself is only ever used to negate verbs, not nouns. Interestingly, the word to negate nouns is a fusion of ma and the sheen suffix, mish or mush, or even sometimes just mu, as in mish mushkila. It's not a problem. Anyway, check out the video on negation for more information on all that. The remaining uses of ma are the ones that may be more unfamiliar. Let's start with one that is used really frequently, so it's very important to know. This ma is used to connect prepositions to verbs. That may sound a little obscure, but think of the words before and after. These are just prepositions that are used like in English. For example, the day after tomorrow is just ba'ad bukra, after tomorrow. The main difference is just that in Arabic, prepositions can't be placed before a verb in the same way. They must be connected to the verb with ma. So before you go is not abil truh, it's abil ma truh. I know it can be confusing since ma truh by itself means don't go, while abil ma truh means before you go. However, what gives it away is the preposition abil. As I said, it is mandatory to use ma to connect prepositions to verbs. So by extension, if there's ever a preposition before ma, it's definitely not being used for negation, but rather just as a connecting particle. You'll see this type of phrasing very commonly in time-related expressions. For example, قبل ما تروح, بعد ما شفته, or أول ما وصلت. But you can use it basically with any preposition, as in زي ما توقعت, as I expected, على ما أظن, as far as I know, or بدون ما يخبرني, without letting me know. In fact, ma doesn't just connect prepositions to verbs, it can also connect verbs to question words with the meaning of ever, as in امتى ما بدك, whenever you want. شو ما قال, whatever he said. Or even مين ما كان, whoever it may be. It gets messy if you try to translate the ma in the structure literally, so it's better to just pay attention to how it's used in practice and eventually you'll get used to it. The third category of uses of ma is much more expressive, and using these forms correctly can get you sounding very natural and authentic. First, we have ma as a way to comment on how nice or how great or how X something is. The exact form is ma plus the comparative form of the adjective. So if jamil is beautiful and ajmal is more beautiful, then ma ajmal is how beautiful. And if hello is nice and ahla is nicer, then how nice is ma ahla. However, there's just one more element needed to complete the expression. The phrase ma ajmal or ma ahla must be connected to some kind of referent, as in ma ajmal il bayt, how beautiful the house is. Even if you don't want to be so specific, then you can at least add a suffix to the phrase, as in ma ajmalu or ma ahla. Notice the subtle difference. Ma ahla, how nice what? Versus ma ahla, how nice it is. While the formula ma plus comparative is at least fixed grammatically, the final use of ma that we're going to discuss is very fluid. This one is fun, but it's very much the kind of thing that you just have to get used to by seeing it in action. Still, I'm going to attempt a short definition. The last use of ma is to emphasize a comment that in some way contradicts the statements or expectations of the other speaker. When it contradicts a statement, it's similar to the use of does or did in the affirmative in English. For instance, why didn't you study? I did study. The did contradicts the expectation that the speaker didn't study. In Arabic, we use ma to stress this contradiction, as in ليش ما درست? ما درست? Pay close attention to the intonation, because you can really feel the difference between these two uses of ma. ليش ما درست? Negation. ما درست? Emphasis. An unstressed ma with rising intonation creates that sense of surprise or even indignation that tells you that this ma is purely emphatic. In this short exchange, there's an obvious contradiction of a statement, and the use of ma here is clearly parallel to does or did in English. But here's a slightly more subtle contradiction of expectation, which isn't so easy to translate. Let's say someone tells me, أنا بالمستشفى. So I get worried and I ask, شو صرت مريض? Did you get sick? He might answer, ما أنا بدرس طب. As you can see, this ma is emphasizing the statement I study medicine as a sort of contradiction of the expectation that he's in the hospital because he's sick. Although here the ma can't really be translated into English, due to the intonation, the intention should be relatively understandable. By the way, sometimes this emphatic ma can get fused with hu, mahu something something. It can start to get tricky once you start seeing all of these structures and meanings in one sentence, as in mahumu mashghul. So in summary, you have the ma of negation, the linking ma that connects verbs to prepositions and question words, and the emphatic ma that is used to comment on something or contradict a statement or expectation. As I said before, this video is mainly for the sake of being aware of these many uses. Most people just know about the use of ma for negation. So when they see the word in these other contexts, it can get a little bit confusing. In any case, the true way to learn to use ma naturally is through practice, of course. So I'll leave you to it, and I'll see you next time.